everybody, and welcome to the Fortress of Comic News, episode 181. I am one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host, Mike. And may I say, before you say anything, Mike, please, everybody, let Henry Cavill be James Bond. That's all I want to say.
Please. Really? You want it that bad?
So there's been rumors, okay, yeah, like comic books, whatever, but James Bond. I'm a huge James Bond fan, and there's been rumors flying around that like he's like not only is he interested, but they're interested in him. And
of course he's interested.
Yeah, I mean, you're British, you're gonna play James Bond.
And they'll give you like a 6-movie contract unless you break your leg, like what happened to Daniel Craig.
Yeah, and I know some people don't like him. I think he's fantastic, and I think he'd be great for the role.
You know who's great for the role of being interviewed today? We have the lovely guest on the show, Adam Barnhardt. We're going to talk about his comic book Shitshow, and he works for comicbook.com, and so it's cool that we got a fellow listener wanted to be on the show, and he's always welcome. So stay tuned for that awesome interview with him.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about comicbook.com and a lot about Shitshow.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah, so like he probably thought, the show is a shit show. They could relate and talk about my book Shit Show. I mean, it's one of the biggest compliments I've ever received, honestly.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm putting that up. Like Jeff Lemire be on the show. Nope, dusting that one off, throwing it off the shelf. This is going right there. Anyways, no, love to have him. So stay tuned for that. All right, but back to James Bond really quick. I don't know, man. I was always Idris Elba, man. I think he would be a great James Bond as well.
So, if you're giving me the choice between those two,
yeah.
I'm going Idris Elba. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. I think I'd be happy either way, though. I don't think either. Yeah. And then I heard Tom Hardy, dude. Did you hear that rumor?
I love Tom Hardy. I don't love him for the role. The other person I've heard, and I'm going to forget the actor's name, but the guy he was in Sons of Anarchy and
the biker guy.
Yeah, and
the long hair.
Yeah, he was also in like the show about the Sword and Stone, or the movie about the Sword and Stone, and a bunch of other stuff. I think he would be great too, especially if you've seen him outside of those roles. Like he's fantastic as Jax in Sons of Anarchy, but he is British as fuck.
Oh yeah, he is British.
He has a heavy accent. So
yeah, British AF.
Yeah, so I think he'd be great too, but I don't think he's getting the role anytime soon.
And I know. So if you watch Inception, that's pretty much Tom Hardy playing James Bond. If you remember that, his character.
Yeah, I love Hardy. He's a great actor,
right?
But for that I wouldn't. He wouldn't be on my top of my list.
Yeah. And just before we get the show started, I wanted to warn everybody about that movie on Netflix because I tried to watch it last night. The Devil All the Time with Spider-Man and Batman. So Robert Pattinson and I don't know who plays Spider-Man. I can't remember.
I was going to say Tom Holland. Holland, yeah. I almost said Tom Hardy.
If you watch the trailers for the movie, literally those are the only two characters they show. I will tell you this. 50 minutes into a 2-hour movie, 2.5-hour movie, they don't show up once. And then Robert Pattinson shows up, and then he's gone for like another 30 minutes, and then, yeah, so...
Is he sparkly in this movie too?
No. Oh. But he plays a creepy preacher. I didn't finish the movie. Maybe it's really good at the end, but it just... I didn't know what the plot was. I was very confused. And like a lot of the plot devices were just random killings like happening, like, all right, this character is about to be interesting, bam, wham, they're dead. It's like, okay, and this person's a serial killer. It's like, all right. And the Dursley son was in it from Harry Potter, that actor, which was just weird seeing him be a crazy southern preacher pouring spiders on his head. It's just weird shit, man. The movie's just weird. You advertise these two main characters, they're not in it.
Listen, you got sparkly vampires, Spider-Man in the movie. You're gonna advertise them, like
yeah, but like it could have been you could have had the bad plot and just put them throughout the whole movie. But you can't do a bad plot and only put them in like not even half of the movie. You know what I mean? You gotta do one or the other. Netflix. You can't. I mean, people will still watch it, whatever. But I just wanted to warn everyone if that's what you're expecting. you could just fast forward about 40 minutes and you won't see either of them.
So I set some goals for myself over the weekend. Did not accomplish any of these goals, by the way.
Like push-up goals, or
no, like writing and business goals. So that our company might actually make money one day.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
But instead, I spent my entire time. I turned on Netflix, and one day I was like, "Oh man, The Good Place season 4 is up. I gotta watch that." So I watched all that. And I don't know if you've seen The Good Place or not, but Mike, you would love that show.
What is? I don't even know what this is. I don't know.
So it's a tough sell because I don't want to give away the big plot twist, but basically this woman dies, she wakes up, and she's told that she's in the good place, which is basically heaven for those paying attention. And there's a twist. And I don't want to give it away, but it's awesome. And yeah, it's only 4 seasons long too, so it's like a quick show. They didn't drag on too much, and it was made by the guy who created Parks and Rec. So a lot of Parks and Rec people show up. So
I'd probably enjoy it quite a bit then.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
And then the next day, I turn on Netflix, and The Chef Show has a new season. I was like, well, I love The Chef Show because Jon Favreau and food. That was my weekend.
That's one of them I need to watch still. So, yeah.
I do highly recommend it. I mean, if you like cooking shows. If you don't like cooking shows, you're not going to like it.
I watched that barbecue one. That's pretty good.
Yeah. But every once in a while, I just like Favreau. I think he's a cool guy in terms of his outward personality. And they cook some cool stuff. The only problem is I got really hungry watching.
Yeah, that's the problem. All those shows. I mean, I can talk about food shows like GBB, Great British Bake Off, for another hour. So I think we just got to jump through the news here because now I'm getting
All
right. WandaVision gets its first trailer, and man, I think it looks great. A lot of black and white, a lot of weird shit happening.
It kind of reminds me of do you remember that movie Pleasantville?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And that's isn't that kind of how Tom Came the Vision story?
I still haven't. I own that series, still not read it, but
the first cover is them in the 1950s. I'm pretty sure, and the story was great. I remember the story being really good, but
so I'm interested either way. But I will say I love the movie Pleasantville. I don't care what anyone says, but it did give me vibes of that with the occasional superpower. So
yeah, and then. The fact that they're doing different costumes and stuff like that, I almost wonder if they're lost in the multiverse. This is how multiverse madness multiverse, whatever the Doctor Strange movie was called. I think this is our first taste of the multiverse, just seeing him in different costumes in different eras. I think that's what we're getting at. I hope.
Maybe that'd be cool.
Yeah, because
I'll have to read that comic before this comes out.
Yeah, I got to reread it. It was so long ago it came out. I want to say it came out last year, but it didn't. It's been maybe more than 5 years.
Because it's pre-Batman, Tom King Batman.
Yeah, pre-Tom King Batman. So that's a while ago.
Because he wrote that, and then DC gave him all the money, and he came and wrote Batman.
And then he did the Mitch Gerard's book with about the guy who escapes.
Mr. Miracle.
Yeah, that one.
But I think he was doing Omega Men at the same time as...
Oh, yeah, he was doing a lot of stuff. Yeah, he did some stuff with the New Gods, and they're like, all right, we'll give you a real hero like Batman. You don't need to talk about these characters we never use that are super awesome.
Your words, not mine.
Well, I'm just saying in general. What sells more, a Batman book or an Omega Man book?
Listen, comicbook.com, Mike says... The New Gods aren't real heroes.
They're not. They're New Gods. They're not heroes. They're not part of the Justice League or anything. You want to talk? They're part of New Genesis. You think Granny Goodness is a hero?
Yes.
She's a villain.
Hero to grannies everywhere.
She's an evil woman. Oh my god. She enslaves them and whips people.
I now want to turn you into the next Kevin Smith where anytime you say something it becomes a headline.
Okay, I wish.
I want that to happen.
Oh man, please someone hold me accountable for something. Holy shit. It's been a while in my life that I've been held accountable. Anyways, Hellstrom gets a new trailer. I did not watch it. I'm not very interested in Hellstrom. What do you think?
I actually think you would be more interested in Hellstrom than I would. This looks
Yeah.
like just a straight horror TV show, with like occult stuff and the devil, and I'll probably check it out, but I don't think it's going to connect it all to MCU. I could be wrong, but it doesn't look like it does.
I gotta watch so much other stuff that I don't know if this is gonna get my attention right now.
Yeah.
This was crazy. This was a money grab for sure. James Gunn and John Cena announced that HBO Max will be getting a limited series about Suicide Squad character Peacemaker. James Gunn said that they'll not comment on the time frame of the show to steer clear of spoilers for the movie. It makes sense, dude. You listen, you're HBO Max. You got to get more people on HBO Max to watch the DC stuff. You also you pretty much guarantee can only put shows out because no one knows when you can go back to the movies. I mean, everything just got delayed again. And you got John Cena in the studio. Bam. Like, do it. You know?
Yeah. And it's funny that people were just like, is it a prequel or sequel? Is it a prequel or sequel?
Right.
And Guns said that, we will not comment on that, blah, blah, blah. And that's smart because now that he said that and that this show exists, Peacemaker better die just to prove that nobody is safe in this
Nobody's
movie.
safe.
Except for Margot Robbie, obviously.
What if he dies in like the first act?
He's the Slipknot of this movie.
Oh god, and make John Cena the guy that dies right away. Holy shit.
That would be awesome.
And keep Weasel all the way to the end.
Listen, I'm all about ballsy gut calls. And if you bring in John Cena to play Peacemaker and kill him within 10 minutes, you win.
Academy Award.
Yeah, you win everything. I don't care what the award is.
Give him the award. Or something like Michael Rooker as a joke. He was already in Guardians of the Galaxy. We brought him in this movie, but we killed him in the first scene.
Yeah, because that was one of there was many sins of Suicide Squad movie, but that was the biggest one of we're gonna kill Slipknot just to prove that nobody is safe. It's like, really?
Dude.
Nobody even knows who this actor is.
You have Will Smith playing a character. You're not gonna kill him off.
You don't even give him an origin.
Yeah, I know.
So you spend the entire first part of the movie going this guy's gonna die real fast. Kill. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I would love it.
But yeah, I'm excited for this. I mean, John Cena's awesome, so bring it on. Amazon and Sony Pictures are getting greedy and have announced that they'll be making a spin-off series of The Boys because, you can't just have one good thing.
Nope.
This series will focus on Vought Industry College, where superpowered young adults will be put together and forced to survive. It is said to be a combination of college humor meets The Hunger Games in the same style and tone as The Boys.
So I guess we could talk a little bit about this week's Boys. Did you watch this week's Boys episode?
Yeah, I watched it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it seems like this season's coming around to the idea of we can inject Compound V into anybody and make them a hero.
Yeah, we get that in the.
So that's probably what the show is spinning out of, is that idea. And they were just like, "Hey, let's do superhumans with Hunger Games."
I don't think it's any coincidence, by the way, that they stumble upon this, where they're making, abnormalities in the human genetics, and Iceman is Lamplighter. It's a very similar sounding story to X-Men, and you have a former X-Men in your crew now. Anyways, I just thought it was really ironic.
By the way, great episode.
Great episode.
Everything that happened in the episode, I loved. I loved the reveal at the end with Stormfront. I loved everything to do with that insane asylum.
Yeah.
And just so many great character moments throughout. And my favorite part, though, was when they did the flashback to the boys with the CIA agent.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the boys from the comics. That's what the boys
the comics. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, so that was cool to see that. Also, Lamplighter's still kicking. Pretty big moment.
And I did love the moment where he walks in, all trying to be all badass, and they all just giggle at him, come on, dude.
I think it was a solid episode. I don't know about this though. About Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're trying to reach like a younger audience because it is a mature show. But I'm telling you right now, younger people are watching this show. Like,
it's written in. I guess it's written and being like helmed by the same showrunner. If they've got a cool idea and he keeps that tone, but my only thing is like the biggest part about the boys is the boys. Like Mother's Milk's a great character.
Yep.
Butcher, Huey, like they are what make the show. So I just wonder what you're going to do to really propel this show into multiple seasons.
Yeah, and are they going to turn it into a Hunger Games thing? Is this all going on during the boys? You know, like
yeah. Because if this is like turns into like a 1 season thing, it's supplementary to what the boys is. I could see that being a little bit better than them trying to do a spin-off series that goes like multiple seasons.
Yeah,
but I have been wrong once before, Mike.
I just don't because just for the fact that I still have to I'm still telling people at work about the boys that haven't heard of it yet. You're only in the 2nd season. Like, let's just slow down here. You know, everybody wants their next Walking Dead for their television channels, and it's like, come on.
So my father started watching this. Okay,
yeah,
this is a fun story. So he's watching it. And I was talking with him. He goes, "I like it." He goes, "But it's fucked up." And I said, "Yeah, that's the point." And he goes, "It's like I just don't think there's any limits." And I started telling him stories like, well, at the end of season 1, I got into kind of the backstory of it, and I read the comics at that point too. And I was reading a lot of stuff from people in production where they're like, we pitched stuff from the comics, and they told us no, like you can't do that, even on Amazon.
Right.
I was like, so the comics are even more fucked up. So to me, this is kind of like a little bit down.
Right.
And this was 2 weeks ago. And then I believe it was the beginning of this most recent episode. Giant spoiler alert, where Stormfront and Homelander go and just randomly find a guy like robbing a bank. And she jerks him off while he like crushes his head against the center and start fucking. Like, I'm just like, okay. I want to know what they said they couldn't do on TV.
Right, I know.
Because that's fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, and the whole sex scene is like, laser my tits. I was like, wow, someone wrote that in a script. Laser my tits. That might be the first time in like cinematic history, any type, like, that's crazy.
Listen, I mean, if that's the kind of writing you're looking for, I am available. I can do lazy your tit stuff all day.
Someone went to college for writing and was like, drafted it up and was like, yep, this is my legacy.
Can you imagine being that guy with like, I'm going to be a serious writer, like I can't wait, blah blah.
I love the arts.
Come on and do this show. Get your foot in the door. Yeah, in this episode, we need Homelander and Stormfront to fuck, and she likes pain, so like use his superpowers. And this guy's like, I'm still paying my college debt. Laser my tits. What the fuck am I doing?
Roll credits. Oh, man.
Love it.
Love it. Great show. Anyways, yeah, we'll see how this goes. Disney Plus is getting another series based on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This one's going to be about Nick Fury and is going to star none other than Samuel L. Jackson. I love this because I love Samuel L. Jackson. I love his Nick Fury, and he is one of the best parts of those movies when he pops up, dude. Yeah. So
they've been talking about this for a while.
I know. It's awesome.
They've been talking about doing a movie forever, and I think this is better. Like, yeah, especially if you do like Nick Fury, agent of S.W.O.R.D, not director of S.W.O.R.D.
Yep,
that'd be really cool. I'm down for this.
Big news hit this week that the CW have announced that season 6 of Supergirl will be the final season. So
doesn't really affect us, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really not. These CW shows I keep telling people they ended after Crisis for me, and it's I don't know.
I stole that line from you at the comic shop because guys were talking about it. Like, they're talking about CW shows. And they were like, are you watching? And I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, the CW shows ended after Crisis. Like, yeah. And they all looked at me weird. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, in my world, they ended. It's done. Right. Like, that was the perfect way to end it. Yeah. And I don't want more. So, yeah. So
I'm sure you made them extremely mad, but
Oh yeah, especially since my store is a DC centric store.
But I mean, I'm DC centric, and how do you top that ending? Nothing. I'll never feel more fulfilled.
I I get it. Like
About a show.
they got a moneymaker. They're gonna keep going.
Right.
Good for them. But for me personally, like yeah, that was the best way because if you remember, I believe it was before we did this show when they started the Flash and they
Yeah.
showed the Crisis headline.
Right.
I think I said to you like if this ends in Crisis on Infinite Earths, this is the best show ever.
Right.
And it did.
It did. Anyways, let's jump to this awesome interview with Adam Barnhardt, and we'll see everybody on the other side.
Hey everybody, Chris here. Just want to take a quick break from the show to remind you all that if you go to fortressofcomicnews.com, there's a banner at the top for Amazon. If you use that Amazon banner, we get a little kickback from it as an advertising fee. So if you do any of your purchases on Amazon, we would really appreciate it if you would use our banner to do all your purchases. That way you can help out the show, help out us, and get all the awesome things you buy on Amazon, including comics, DVDs, everything. So remember, go to fortresscomicnews.com and use that Amazon banner on the top. Thank you all so much for listening, and let's move on to the rest of the show. So welcome back, everybody. We want to welcome a very special guest this week. Welcome to the show, Adam Barnhardt. How's it going, Adam?
It is going A-OK. Could be much worse. Could be better, but could be much worse as well. You know, living life, trying to.
Listen, I always try to be a glass half full guy too. You know, could be worse, but doing pretty good.
Can't complain. You know, woke up this morning, so the battle's half won right there, right?
Yes, that is the battle right there. Yeah. So I need to organize my life so that my background is like yours because I'm just staring at your pops and the fact that you have the dinosaur from the show Dinosaurs.
Right.
And all that's going through my head is not the mama right now.
Right.
So me, you, and 3 other people got that reference.
Exactly, man. It's I always say if I ever have to go through a fire or whatever, that's the first thing I'm running in here to get. It's between that and Gargoyles, those two shows are pretty much my childhood. And who doesn't like Baby Sinclair? You know what? Baby Sinclair walked so Baby Yoda could run, and not enough people understand that. You know, I mean, Baby Sinclair is the definitive baby, and this Baby Yoda comes along, and all attention's on him. But it is what it is. I'm sure with Disney Plus and such, it'll be back before not too long in the show.
Bringing the hard takes, I love it. I saw Dinosaurs on some streaming service recently,
Hulu.
And was it Hulu?
Yeah.
And I remember me and my old lady were sitting around and we are just looking for something to watch, and we both stopped. We're like, "Oh my god, it's Dinosaurs!" And we watched a few episodes. And it's still good. Like it
holds
great
up.
show.
It holds up. It's kids back then. I say back then as if it was a century ago, but it's a pretty dark show all around, man. Not even past the finale, which is just horrific for anyone to watch. But it's crazy that this was marketed to kids and stuff. But it's solid, man. It's solid. It is solid.
It's good stuff. So I didn't bring you here to talk about dinosaurs. We can do that if you want, but you do have a comic coming out. So we're going to start you where we start all of our new guests. Tell us your origin stories. What made you get into comics, and then what made you want to write comics?
My origin story. So I just wanted to make something. You know, I would love being a screenwriter someday and writing film and television. So I guess that was kind of the mindset growing up. I like creating things. You know, I'm at GameStop or EV Games, and I'm always looking at the games that have a create your own feature, right? Create your own character, create your own level, create your own what have you. And I just like telling stories. That's the other part. My writing started pretty early. I think I first got paid for writing in middle school, 8th grade, maybe my freshman year was when it started for the local newspaper writing sports, and it kind of went on from there. I went from writing sports for local weekly newspaper, circulation probably 1,000, to doing some interning and communications work for arena football teams. A couple detours along the way, and now I'm fortunate enough to write about entertainment full time. So I do that to pay the bills and write funny books on the side.
Who do you write for to write about entertainment?
I write for comicbook.com.
Oh, okay. That's great. We steal a lot of your stuff for our show. No, comicbook.com is actually like my first go-to. It's always when I'm looking for the news and I'm checking, that's my first one, because I don't feel like they're always the first ones on the scene, but they're always the most thorough. So I guess that's a compliment to you as well, because I've probably taken a few of your stuff and talked about it on the show. But I just love how they get in and they don't just try to push something the second it comes out. It feels like they really take the time to try to get what happened at that moment and get it as correct as possible for that moment, as opposed to some where I just feel like, breaking news, Dwayne Rock Johnson is going to be Superman now, and then 2 seconds later it's like, oh wait, no, that wasn't really a thing.
Right. Right. No. Thanks. Thanks for reading the site. It's an incredible work environment. You know, we're not journalists first. We're all fans. We each have our own niches and lanes we like to stay in, and that's a huge part. That is the part why these pieces are so thorough. You know, we have a dedicated gaming team. We have a dedicated anime team. We have Marvel experts, DC experts. We have experts on dinosaurs. We have experts on gargoyles. We have experts on what have you, you know, and it's just a pretty killer work environment. And it's amazing. I'm surprised Hollywood has a problem learning this, but it's amazing the kind of content and stuff you can create when you put people in place that enjoy and understand the content they're creating. You know, sometimes, especially when we get into Kate movies, they have the people that have never read a comic make the movies. Now I'm going on a totally different tangent that we could probably talk about for days, but hire people that know the stuff to make the stuff for you, and then the world would be a better place if that happened.
No, I think this story has been told before, but I tell the same story 1,000 times over. That I actually went to school for a form of journalism, mostly video stuff, and it was a combination of I wanted to make. It was kind of the birth of YouTube as like people being influencers, and I wanted to make videos, but at the same time I was just like, but what I really want to do is I want to talk about the things I love. At the time it was more, I was still a huge comic fan, but it was really video games. And then I fell off that because I just didn't gel. I didn't gel with the idea of having to move to San Francisco to do it, but I also didn't gel well with the community that was being built in video games. And so I was just like, it took me years to build this show. And that's not taking anything away from Mike. Mike is a huge part of the show as well. But there's plenty of dead podcasts along the way that got to Fortress Comic News because I wanted to just do something to talk about the industry of comics and be in that scene and really talk about something I love. So I think I'm rambling a little bit here, but what I'm saying is I feel like we had similar paths. Right. Yours a little more successful than mine, but I think it's so cool that not only do you do that, but just that knowing that a place like comicbook.com is such a great work environment and that they really let people talk about the things they love, because that's kind of what I've always wanted to do and what I've always encouraged some of these. I've encouraged, like I have a say in it, but some of these websites to do, where it seems like for a long time it was like, here, Joe, you're going to review this DC book. You've never read a DC book before. You only read Marvel, but review this DC book, and it's like that doesn't make any sense. Like, give it to Jim, who reads all the DC stuff.
Right. It's yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, you bring up reviews and stuff, and we every week we review I shouldn't say every single comic Marvel puts out, DC puts out, Image, Dark Horse, Boom, IDW. We're talking to the tunes of dozens and dozens and dozens of reviews each week. And you're not going to put someone who's never read Hawkman on a Hawkman book, because how the hell are you going to understand if it's a good and thorough story? You know, especially with someone like Hawkman, where it's just all over the place and reincarnated 2 times each issue. You know, yeah, you bring up a very solid point there.
So, like you said, you started writing, you got into this amazing job, and you wrote funny books on the side. So what was the first thing that you wrote as a comic on the side?
The first thing I wrote as a comic on the side, what was the very first thing? It would probably be Killennials, all right, which is my take on somewhere between Dexter and The Office. It's kind of like a workplace comedy, but the crux of it is the articles that say millennials are killing Red Lobster, or millennials are killing the drive-through coffee game, or millennials are killing some other absurd thing. So that's kind of where the idea came from, except I just kind of took it further and said, well, millennials are killing everything, why can't they kill people? You know, so the crux or the meat and potatoes of the story is that the whole Dexter part is millennials are so fed up with everything else that they decide to kill all the bad guys and villains, all while trying to work a dead end 9 to 5 so they can pay their student loans. So that was probably the first thing I did. I printed it off. I have some copies still. I got in pretty far with one publisher on it, and that ultimately wasn't the right fit. It's a story I'd want to revisit someday, but once I start going to cons, or if cons come back in a post-COVID world, I'll definitely have some copies of that until they sell it. I don't think I have like 50-some copies I actually printed off, but that was my first foray into comics, and then I spun off and did some short stories.
First, I want to say when cons come back.
Right.
Because I need cons to come back.
I know, we all do, man.
But taking that aside, so yeah, you did that. You did some short stories, and then what? Like, you got to where you are today, which is you wrote this cool book, and now it's about to get published. So let's talk about that book. Let's give people the synopsis on that one, the elevator pitch, if you will.
Right. It is Shameless meets The Boys. It's Shameless meets the Marvel Universe. It's Shameless meets the Avengers. It's drunk carnies with superpowers is the most succinct way of putting it. And I think the whole title of the book accurately describes that to a T.
And that title is
Shitshow. It is Shitshow. So
yeah, you pitched it to me as Shameless meets The Boys. So is it The Boys in as much as that we're following a group that's trying to figure out what these carnies are doing, or is it just the feel and the vibe of The Boys?
It's more of the vibe and tone. There's no mercenary group or anything like that. It's if you've been keeping up with season 2 at all?
I have.
The
so
show?
Everyone, all the listeners out there, we're recording this a little bit early. I literally just watched it, and that was a mistake because now it's all I can think about. But yes, I did just watch it.
I'm not going to talk about spoilers or anything, but obviously The Boys does an excellent job on treating comics and superheroes and the associated merchandise and apparel as satire, right? So that's kind of the vibes here. I've been this whole month. I've been running a promotion on Facebook on the Shitshow Facebook page called hashtag Shittember, and pretty much each day I've been releasing a new character. If you've seen like the Marvel handbooks, official handbooks of the Marvel universe, kind of those types of graphics on the Facebook page, because obviously this book isn't going to feature 40 characters, but it's still the whole take on everyone wanting crossovers and interconnectedness and things of that nature. Then we just kind of inject a lot of booze into it, and that's how it goes.
So you got this book. How do you see it going? Do you see it as, is it going to be just 4-issue mini? Is it going to be maxi? Do you think it could be an ongoing thing? How is the story going to play out? So,
the first story we're telling, Shitshow Volume 1, The Magnificent McCoys, is 3 issues long. I just got approved for something in my inbox with a short story, so there's going to be some short stories involved at some point. But I'm structuring it. Each volume is 3 issues plus some added short stories or a one shot or something. That said, if Scout allows me to do it, I have plenty of stories to tell. I started breaking an outline for Volume 5 this past week. So the story I have planned is 15-ish issues. But they're structured in a sense you don't really have to be there from the beginning. Obviously, you're going to be get a lot more out of the story if you read from issue 1 through 15. But each 3 issues is going to be a new villain or a new antagonist and kind of a new plot with few. There's an overarching theme throughout, of course, but you should be able to pick up any number 1 and be able to know the characters and who's doing what. I mean, you're going to miss out on character development and things of that nature, but even by today's standards, 15 issues isn't a super, super big time investment, I guess. It's certainly not trying to catch up with like Dan Slott's 400-issue Spider-Man run or something.
So you're going to be, you and Scout, that is, are going to be publishing it as like kind of seasons where you get 3 or 4 issues and they're going to start with a new number 1, do 3 or 4 issues.
That's the plan. Yeah, that's the plan. If they let me do it, I'd be willing to do the main story is 15 issues, and like I've said, all these characters I'm introducing on Facebook, I have ideas for all of them. So prequels, spinoffs, events. Not events. I don't want to see the E word because that might have a negative connotation with some people. But yeah, the main story is 15 issues, and then we'll probably do some one-offs and short stories here and there.
I always like that. I mean, Ahoy Comics has really been championing that recently of do a miniseries, and then we'll do season 2, and it's that, another miniseries. And I always thought that was a great idea, especially with people who aren't into the whole, people who aren't me, basically, who are into the I'll pick up issue 752 of Spider-Man and just go from there. And people trying to get in. So I always thought that was a great idea, especially for indie people trying to get their books moving throughout the series.
Right. Yeah, it's they're all kind of structured. They're pretty much structured as movies too. The whole 3-act structure as well. Just because admittedly, Shitshow is not a story I'm looking for critical acclaim. I'm not really looking to invoke and motivate people with it, I guess. If that makes sense. I'm not I don't anticipate pushing this for Eisners or Ringos or anything of that nature. It's just it's not really fun because it's very, very messy once you dive in and start reading it. But it's just kind of a no frills, in your face action type comic blockbuster with not really super, super deep meanings. We touch on some stuff, but I don't expect this to go the whole critically acclaimed route, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't, and that's one of the things I think is great about comics. And I mean, most mediums do have this, but I think comics have this uniquely, where you can write Transmet and you can write the Watchmen, and those are awesome books, and I love them. But you know what I also love? I love Jason Aaron's Avengers run, where the Avengers meet up with the Russian team and they fight Dracula, and
exactly,
and it's like, what the fuck's going on? But it's awesome, and it's great. That's not going to win an Eisner, but that's still like one of my favorite storylines of the past 5-6 years. And you're also talking to the man who just published a book that's about if Pokemon rise up against their masters, and is currently in pre-production on a book about a half sheep, half Sasquatch. So
nice.
I completely understand the whole, and I love the whole campiness of comics. Like, I think that's something that's, with more and more money being infused into video games and to movies and TV, and as great as a lot of that media is, some of that campiness is being lost. And I love kind of the cheap nature of comics, where we can do something like that, something weird and dumb and fun, and just have a good time with it, even if it is a little gory and a little over the edge. But
right. I mean, that's the thing, man. Comics cost what they do, regardless of plot or characters or things like that. You know, you don't need a micro budget for a super grounded, character driven tell, when an artist can draw a 3-headed demon just the same as John Constantine, you know. So might as well go balls to the wall with it and see where it goes.
Exactly. So this is being published by Scout Comics. When can people expect to see it on the comic book shelves?
Issue number 1 is, I love how Diamond calls it the estimated date, because Diamond summons Diamond up as about as accurately as possible. The estimated date for distribution is December 2nd. So maybe December 2nd, maybe somewhere around there. But yes, the technical on-sale date right now is December 2nd.
So does that put it in the most recent previews that came out last week?
It is in previews right now, and you can, right when you're done listening with this, you can hop on somewhere and buy it, or send a message to your store, or what have you. It's in previews. We have 2 covers, actually. We have a cover A by Samir Samau, who's also the interior artist. And then we have an incentive cover, 1 in 10, by a concept artist actually named Juan Angel. And he's not really super... He wasn't in comics before, necessarily. But you see all these character designs and concept art, so I reached out to him, and he did a really cool Game of Thrones homage, where our main character, who's the drunkest of them all, sits on an iron throne made of crushed beer cans instead of swords. So that's the incentive. So, the incentive is only 1 of 10, and it's an unlimited incentive, so stores only have to order the 10 issues before they unlock unlimited copies of the incentive. It's not a true 1 in 10, I guess. So, the bigger stores already have them available online. I've seen it on Midtown, Thanks from Another World, My Comic Shop, or Lone Star, whatever it's called. But obviously, I do encourage you to support locally. And at least, no matter what, they can order a couple cover A's if they don't want the incentives.
And actually, I gotta admit, I'm ignorant about this as well. Does Scout do day and date digital with Comixology? Do you know?
Not Comixology. There are some Scout titles on Comixology, but digitally. I know they do direct through the Scout website, scoutcomics.com, and I know there's another app involved. Eventually, it's not Comixology. I forget the name of it, but I know for sure you can do it straight through the Scout website, and it's actually cheaper digitally as well. I don't know the prices, but it's not cover price.
Awesome. So past that, so everybody go get you should have gotten your previews catalog already. I'm sure you've all flipped through it. I'm sure you search that Scout Comics section, you'll find the book. So go there. But if people want to follow you further past that, where's the best place to send them? Twitter, website, anything like that?
I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. We have a very active Shitshow Facebook page. That's facebook.com/shitshowcomic. My Twitter and Instagram is at Adam Barnhardt, AdamBarnhard, as in dog and T as in Tom. And our website is www.poop.show. So that's just POOP.show. You can sign up for our email newsletter there, which I always send out some sneak peeks and character designs and updates through the newsletter.
Awesome. So yeah, everybody go check that out. Follow Adam there, and thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Yeah.
Best of luck with the book, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man.
And we're back on the other side.
Here's the other side. Yeah, so please, everybody, check out Shitshow.
Yeah, speaking of the boys, I mean, the boys with carnies, like,
Come
what
on.
else do you need?
What else is there not to like?
It's in your previews right now.
Right now. Order. Tell your
I
local
already
comic
folded
shop.
the page.
Yep.
That's what I do. I fold the page and I send the email out later.
Turn the page. Anyways, let's jump into the movie news. We switched it up today. Oops. Black Adam gets some casting news. Noah Centineo will be playing Atom Smasher, and Aldis Hodge will be playing Hawkman. Pretty awesome. So, number one, Atom Smasher. Dude, what? We're going to get a live-action Atom Smasher? Okay. I mean, Hawkman's cool, whatever. But Atom Smasher? Like, of all the heroes, I'm pumped. What? So I guess this almost confirms, right? We're doing like a JSA style.
Yeah, that's been confirmed.
Yeah. So we're getting, dude, if they start rolling out more and more, like, oh, Alan Scott, oh, Wesley Dodds. Like, if you give me like Wesley Dodds, dude, I'll fucking scream at the top of my lungs. You give me a lot, like, yeah, we've seen him at whatever shows, but like, if I get to go to a theater, eat popcorn, and someone says Wesley Dodds, I will be like, son of a bitch. The Sandman himself.
I'd be down for that. Atom Smasher, I got no connection to. Like,
well,
he's always a side character for me.
Yeah.
And
Hawkman.
I know it's been a big like talk online, and I don't want to get too much into it, but Aldis Hodge is a African American gentleman.
Yep.
Playing Hawkman, and that's been a big conversation. I'm fine with that.
Right.
I mean, I don't see the big deal. I mean, Hawkman, I see a lot of people talking about, like, well, Hawkman is descended from a Middle Eastern, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But isn't it just like his consciousness goes into is reborn? Isn't that the whole thing?
Yeah.
So why can't Hawkman be a Chinese person?
Especially if it revolves around Egypt, all right? And we know, I mean, we're in the Middle East with Black Adam. It's going to be the 1940s, right? Like,
yeah.
Chill, people.
It works.
Yeah.
And I don't know the man. I don't know his work, I should say. But if he's a good actor, fuck it. Like, put on the suit, grab a mace, and start hitting people. Like,
if you saw on The Rock's Instagram, it was really funny that he was the one that called him to tell him he got the part.
Oh, really?
Because, I mean, Hawkman's a pretty big part, you know? And he was like, yeah, this is Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I wanted to, like, call you. I just watched your video, and he, like, posted the whole conversation on Instagram. He's like, no, stop fucking with me, dude. Like, who is this? And he's like, no, for real, stop fucking with me. And he's like, no, this is DJ. Like, you got the part, and I wanted to call and tell you. And he, like, put the phone down and started screaming about it. So
That's cool. The Rock is just good people.
Yeah, dude, he is. And also, we might be getting a JSA movie out of this, dude.
Basically, we are.
I mean, like spin-off JSA movies.
Oh yeah. I mean, so if this does well, and because this does two things, it sets up Black Adam, and then for Shazam 3, you can fight
And it
Black
gives
Adam.
market testing for any of the JSA characters.
And then you can go and be like, well, we already casted the JSA.
Right.
They already have the costumes. Fuck it, let's have them fight some Nazis. Let's do it.
And I was really excited about Adam Smasher. I've always loved him because he has the atomic symbol on his chest. And
Yeah.
me being a chemistry nerd is kind of pumped about that. So.
Now,
Other than that, also he gets really big and smashes people. So.
is Noah Centine, whatever the hell his name is he particularly jacked gentleman like The Rock?
I think so. Oh, actually, no, he's actually kind of scrawny. Oh. No,
'Cause
maybe
isn't Adam Smasher just like beefy as fuck?
Well, the original Adam Smasher that we got in The Flash was the Edge, the wrestler. I don't know if you remember that on TV.
Oh, I do.
So, oh, you don't remember it was the Edge? I remember because I loved the Edge. This new guy is not. He's really young too. He almost looks like a kid. So I don't know what they're going with. If they're doing like a young JSA or something, but I don't know. Maybe that's what they're gonna do. Make the JSA like the teen group. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, maybe if you do a young JSA, I mean, you can get future movies out of them.
Yeah.
Because then you could do like 60s JSA, punching hippies.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Stop smoking the devil's lettuce. Pow! Anyways, let's get
that's
into
the
the comics.
movie I want now.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Watch out, my bell-bottom jeans. Kerpow! Let's get into the comic news. Marvel has announced that they're adding a comic series to the world of X-Men that is also spinning out of the events of Empire. S.W.O.R.D. S.W.O.R.D. will be written by Al Ewing with art by Valerio Citti. So here's the description. Buckle up. In the startling aftermath of X of Swords, mutant kind will take the bold next step in claiming their destiny by relaunching the Sentient World Observation and Response Directorate to deal with all things extraterrestrial on behalf of Earth. It's a synopsis for the new S.W.O.R.D. series. The events of S.W.O.R.D. will have tremendous impact not only on the X-Men's world, but the Marvel Universe as a whole, as the mutants of S.W.O.R.D. warp the cosmic landscape forever. The lineup of the S.W.O.R.D. will be Abigail Brand, Magneto, Cable, Frenzy, WizKid, Fabian Cortez, Manifold, and many other fan-favorite mutants, because yes, Manifold is such a fan-favorite, who will be stepping into the spotlight in a major way. How can you tell me WizKid and Abigail Brand and Manifold are fan-favorites?
Are you shitting on WizKid right now?
Okay, well... What the... You're gonna tell me more people like WizKid than Cyclops? Come on. Gambit?
Cyclops on a different team, dude. And he lives on the moon now.
I don't even want it. Dude,
in a three-way relationship with Wolverine.
Hickman's X-Men is weird, man.
It's weird, and I love it, and I'm still not convinced he's not trolling us all.
So what's going on with this S.W.O.R.D. thing? They're going to be fighting extraterrestrial beings. Maybe the next step in the Marvel Universe. Help me out here. The big thing is the Celestials.
Celestials, yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, the Avengers just kicked Celestials' ass recently, so I'm torn on this because I don't want another X-Men book, but I love Al Ewing, and I like how he set up S.W.O.R.D. at the end of Empire, and I mean, WizKid's in the book, so
Your fan favorite.
I don't know. I'm still mulling over whether I'm going to check this book out, but I am interested, especially since, I mean, Al Ewing's also doing the Guardians of the Galaxy book, and he's really kind of taking over the cosmic world inside of the Marvel Universe. And I'm a huge fan of Cosmic Marvel. So like I said, I'm torn, but I kind of want to check it out at the same time. So we'll see where I land on that. But yeah, there's a lot going on here. I mean, Marvel loves its acronyms, right? Sentient World Observation and Response Directorate.
Sentient World Observation and Response Directorate. It's like, what?
Love it.
Sentient World Observation. So there's more than just the living planet?
All I know is Noel's coming.
Yep. Makes sense. Yeah. So what do we read this week, Chris? I keep thinking that they just have to reiterate. It's very important. It will affect everything, so people will read it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that always bugs me. Like, world-shaking event, and this was going to impact everything in the Marvel universe. Like, okay, and then when the next writer comes, they're going to change it. Like, just tell me it's going to be a cool story,
right?
Like, that's what I want to hear, because I know it's good. Like X-Men. Like, X-Men's really weird right now, and like I said, like, Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey, and her three-way relationship. What the fuck? Right. But I know as soon as Hickman's done and he reveals the troll to everybody, it's just going to change back, or someone's going to do something else. Like, that's the way comics work. And if we haven't gotten that by now, that's our fault.
Truth.
But speed metal, Matt, or Mike. I called you Matt.
Who the hell's Matt? Oh no, have I been replaced while I was away? Anyways, yeah, I had a couple books this week. I'm still reading through the rest, but I also I started the new trade for that Gideon Falls book by Jeff Lemire, and that book is just so awesome, man. Oh, what a great book. Anyways, Dark Knight Speed Metal. Joshua Williamson and Eddie Narrows. As much as we're gonna make fun of the story right now, nothing against Joshua Williamson, but Eddie Narrows' art was awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
There's some really awesome scenes in this book. Okay. Basically, you got Jay, Barry, and Wally and the Speed Force running from the Batman Who Laughs. He's chasing him. He's trying to get the new, like, Manhattan energy that Wally possesses. But, they're running away, whatever, they're running. There's an awesome scene where all of a sudden the dark flashes come out, like all, the Black Lantern Flash, I don't know, one of the reverse flashes. It was just awesome. So they're, like, being chased by this army of, like, zombie flashes. That was pretty cool. They stopped time really quick. They're like, we can't outrun these guys. Their big idea is to run backwards at them. While they're doing this, we know they're trying to get to the Mobius chair. They said, we got to get to the Mobius chair. That's how the Batman Who Laughs is, messing with the Speed Force and doing all this shit. So they decide to turn around and run straight at the zombies. That's the plot. They ran one direction, and the big plan is to run the opposite direction.
Yep, Flash Fury Road.
Yeah, it was Flash Fury Road. It was, yeah. A lot less interesting than that. So basically they get to the Mobius chair. Wally gets everyone in the Speed Force. Everybody's safe. And now they got to get the chair to Wonder Woman. But in between that, there's all the Flash family. Like, Max Mercury's back. There's a touching moment with, like, Bart and Wally, gets his old costume back for a second. And then he's like, okay, back to being blue, blah, blah, blah. Overall, it was nice. Like I said, the art was the best part of this book.
I like the Speed Force stuff when they're inside, like, as the family talking and bring back all the characters. And, like, Wally getting his family back and all that stuff.
Yep.
Other than that, you could have just wrote me a sentence that says, Flash, get Mobius chair, and I would have been happy.
No, that's what they gave to Josh Williamson from the DC executives, and said, make this 20 pages.
And call it speed metal, because we got a metal thing going on right now.
Batman Superman number 12, also by Joshua Williamson and Max Raynor on the art. Batman Superman coming back from taking down a villain to the Batcave. It leads to the Batcave being hacked. Come to find out, Brainiac is the one behind it. They get trapped on the moon with Brainiac versions of villains. Like, you get a Brainiac-looking Bane, a Brainiac-looking Doomsday. So that was pretty cool. And then you have Steel and Batwoman realize something's wrong, and they're going to be ones to save them. So it's almost like you have your counterpart to Batman, Superman. You have Steel, Batwoman. Not that close, but kind of, I guess. I thought it was a good issue. I mean, it's like a Brave and the Bold style, like team up book. Brainiac's more of a Superman villain, but also he's making Batman villains. There's a Brainiac Bane, which look kind of cool. So I thought it was an enjoyable book. That's all I got to this week besides Gideon Falls, Volume 4 I'm reading right now. And basically where we left off in the last volume is the priest and the guy, Daniel, who everybody thought was going crazy. Him and his psychiatrist the psychiatrist loses him, and he swaps spots with this priest. And basically, he goes back to his hometown where he doesn't remember his sister or his father, and his father's in the hospital for being crazy too. And basically, the sister's a cop now. She keeps calling him Daniel. He doesn't remember any of that. Meanwhile, the evil force that they're dealing with, that's in some type of multiverse, is kind of following them and infecting a human. Gets to the hospital, infects a nurse, and tries to kill the father and stuff. Meanwhile, the priest and the doctor meet this group of priests that are talking to them about there's this order and this is blah 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 within the timeline. So they're talking about time travel, but they're also talking about we need we need the group together. There's a doctor, a priest, and then they say a couple other terms like titles for people. So there's a prophecy coming to unfold. It's crazy, man. I mean, Jeff Lemire is really building something here. I mean, we're 4 volumes in. We're still getting some new stuff with this weird horror. I'm guessing it has to do with demons, but the idea that there's a multiverse and time travel associated with it is it's like a new twist. It's like a sci-fi demonic thing, I love it. That's really good. So check it out if you like horror. You need weird sci-fi. Gideon Falls is awesome.
I still need to check that book out.
Yep.
So I got Spider-Man number 4. This is the J.J. Abrams kid of J.J. Abrams book.
Oh yeah.
And basically
J.J. Jr.
Yes. So
JJJ.
Triple JR. Yeah, so basically the villain here, I forget his name because it's been almost Doomsday Clock-esque time in between issues.
Yeah, he's already pulling
Yeah.
He's already pulling Jeff Johns.
But so we left off and he had resurrected the Avengers that were killed in the past, and now he's found a way to turn his wife, or to resurrect his wife and bring her back. But how he does it isn't the proper formula. So he uses some of Spider-Man's blood to do it, and it turns her into a giant spider. So she takes Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And tells the world Spider-Man has to come save his father or else blah blah blah. So he goes and saves his father. Apparently, there's one more issue left. It was an okay issue, but it was kind of a letdown after, because I did go back and check the end of issue 3 real quick, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember being really excited about these resurrected Avengers that were not really zombies, and that only lasted 5 pages.
Oh. That's lame.
But we'll see. It's got 1 issue left. Venom number 28. This is we're in kind of an alternate, and we're in the multiverse, so we're in an alternate universe where something has happened and there's Venom symbiotes everywhere. And we end up finding out basically that the virus, the person who was chasing after Eddie Brock, it was Scorpion, the old Spider-Man nemesis.
Oh yeah, with the tail.
And so it kind of calls back to the events that happened in Absolute Carnage, where he had been paralyzed due to what Eddie had decided to do during that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also get a big reveal that the villain is actually Eddie's son from this alternate universe, and that Eddie doesn't exist in this universe because the moment that Eddie made a turn in Marvel continuity, where he'd gone to a church to decide he was going to kill himself, and ends up not doing it and trying to become a better Venom. In this universe, he does pull the trigger, and so there is no Eddie. So that's why everybody's like freaking out that Eddie's there. And then, finding out that the villain is actually his son from this parallel dimension was kind of cool. So really like this issue, really like this series. Definitely recommend checking it out. And then I got part 1 of 22, X of Swords Creation by Jonathan Hickman.
Because you need those 22.
You do. So this was setting up X of Swords, and basically Apocalypse has created this portal to another dimension because we love dimensions. And we end up finding out that his children had survived from like millennia ago. And they had come here and they destroyed it. And the dimension we're in is like the Captain Britain dimension, Britannia. And they're starting to destroy it, and he goes there to try to stop it. He doesn't know that that's who was there to do it. And through all this, we kind of get a backstory of there's 10 swords, and the X-Men have to try to find them. And I guess what this event's going to be is basically they chose the sons and daughters of Apocalypse and then 5 Avengers, and they're going to find these swords and fight to the death. Like I said, Hickman's trolling us all, but it was a pretty good issue. And if you're reading X-Men, I mean, it's going to go through all the X-Men books. So technically, you don't have to buy anything extra. But
I feel like I'll read the Hickman run with this after it's all said and done. Seems to be the way to do it.
Yeah, so both of our good friend Joe is reading X-Men along with me, and his whole thing was he was going to only read the Hickman stuff. And I kind of ventured out a little bit more because I like Captain Britain, so I'm reading Excalibur. And I like the idea of the resurrecting mutants, so I'm reading X Factor and a few others along the way. And then when this came about, I just told my shop owner, like, hey, just give me the whole run, I'll read it. And his whole thing was, I'm going to let you read it, and if you tell me it's garbage, I'm going to ignore it ever happened. And if you tell me it's good, I'll buy the trade. It's like, that's because you're the smart one of the two of us.
Yeah, that makes a little more sense. That's probably what I would do.
But I'm a sucker for the shit, so.
Yep.
Yeah, I liked it. If you're going to read X of Swords, it's the first part. It's a standalone issue, so grab it. And it's a long issue. It was a big read. So, Mike, where do you think people could find you on those internets?
Fortress Ricker, last time I checked on Twitter. Where can they find you and or the show?
They find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter, or basically anywhere, Fortress Chris, and chrisrunt.com, where all my comics and whatnot are in one handy-dandy site, including any appearances I make outside of this show. If you want to follow the show, fortresscomicnews.com, where everything we do is right there on the handy-dandy website. Remember, everybody, if you go to the store at fortresscomicnews.com and use the promo code Fortress, you'll get 33% off everything on there for a limited time, so do it now.
Do it now.
And if you want to support the show further, go to patreon.com/Fortress of Comic News. All the 5 stars everywhere, all the likes, subscribes, shares everywhere. Do things to help show reach algorithm. You've heard it on every show, so just keep doing it.
Do it.
So I want to thank everybody so much for listening. And we'll see you all next week. And Mike, I have a poem I wrote for you.
Right now?
Yes. So,
okay.
Here we go. Everybody, don't make fun of my poem. Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me do it in my van every Sunday. She tells him she's in church. She doesn't go. Still, she's on her knees, and Scotty doesn't know.
You're just reciting Scotty doesn't know.